Good evening. Welcome to this Salta Sibaya educational evening. My name is Stefan Goethe from Maybeck Marketing, and I'll just be facilitating the discussion tonight. It really is about the people who have made the product possible in terms of visionaries behind it. And I think the objective tonight is to give everyone very unique insight into the vision behind the product. And I think if you've been to the sales office, if you haven't been to the sales office, to give you information that you might not have had before, and to hear it directly from the team. So we want to cover quite a bit of ground, but we also want to answer a lot of questions, and we want to keep it as conversational and as informal as we possibly can. And I'll be trying to weave questions into the course of it. So please post your questions at the bottom where you've got the chat function, and we'll try and get to as many of those as we possibly can. We're also going to be talking you through the interactive module, which is quite a cool or key tool leading up to launch, which Charles and John and the guys will talk through. But I think just a bit of context before we get going. Salta Sibaya went live as a campaign on the 15th of December, and there have been well over 4,000 parties who've engaged directly with the sales team, whether it be at the sales office or remotely. So that's been a huge sort of campaign, and I think we're expecting something pretty unique when it comes to Saturday, which is the public launch. So everything's building up to Saturday, and I think that today is to give you as much information you could possibly have to be able to make the best possible decisions come Saturday. So I think just to introduce everyone, I think you may already know a lot of the people on this panel. So Charles Thompson, who's the director of the Vemco Group. Hi, Charles.
Hi, guys. Hello. Good evening.
John van Wyk, who's sitting in front of his very nicely designed clubhouse. He's the director of Craft of Architecture, who the architectural team behind him, Shlonga Arch, Ocean Dune, Pebble Beach, Gold Coast, and I've obviously worked with the Vemco all the way through those projects. Pamela Naidu, who's the head of sales and marketing for the Vemco Group. Bernice Rumble, who's the director of Land Art Studio and be responsible for the creation in conjunction with CIA of all the conservation areas and all the green areas and all the outdoor recreational facilities, was such a big component of Salta. And then Anthony Watmore, who's director of Anthony Watmore & Company, who has been involved in all the projects that the Vemco have done from a conveyancing perspective. So, guys, we're going to keep it quite short. We're going to try and get through it in about an hour, and obviously cover as much as we can in the process. So I think just to jump in, and I obviously want panel members to engage and to chat as they go. But I think, Charles, I mean, I think the Vemco has always prided itself in building products around what the market wants and often what you would like to see for family and friends. And I think just to maybe touch on the vision behind Salta.
Sure, thanks, Steph. Yeah, so obviously, you know, we've had a busy couple of years, just finishing off the Arch as well as Gold Coast is coming to the end. And what we've sort of picked up from the market was the massive and overwhelming demand for secure estate living, with particularly a high focus on multiple facilities and just lifestyle and convenience. You know, especially coming out of COVID, where guys were locked up at home for, you know, some hard lockdown periods of a couple of months, and that's probably exacerbated the demand for people to, you know, actually realize they don't want to do all the maintenance. They want the lifestyle, they want the safe living. And they want sort of worry-free, as convenient as possible lifestyle living, which is obviously estate living. But thereon is the problem, is trying to get into estates which are well placed in terms of location, so it's convenience. You know, getting in and out of key hubs, business hubs, shopping hubs, hospitals, schools. You know, access to the beach, access to the airport. Those are the key location sort of you know, obviously indices which people try and locate to, but trying to get that in a price point which is, you know, let's call it amenable to the general masses. So that, you know, 3 to 4 million rand mark was something that was coming out over and over again. Guys wanted pet-friendly estates, but they couldn't go to the Gold Coast prices, which, you know, really started at 7.5, 8 million. So yeah, we scratched our heads and found this amazing piece of land. Been unlocking it for about 2 years, and really, really trying to answer the market's call with putting together like a holistic estate concept, which, you know, obviously tick the boxes of location and convenience, as well as tick the boxes of price. And we worked really hard over the last year to get the product just right, so it suits entry-level homes coming in at 3 million, all the way up to, really nice homes on freestanding plots, which will probably end up at 8-10 million. So it's a really nice blend, and allowing a lot of people that previously couldn't access convenience estates to actually live in an amazing space and an amazing location. And that was the vision. And I really think that we've excelled in what we've planned, and I hope we further excel in what we're going to deliver.
And John, from your side, I mean, how much of that has come through in the architectural vision?
I think Charles touched on it. We needed to create a place where people are able to go back to basics. It's not just about being comfortable in your home, but also about being comfortable out of your home, in your neighborhood. So I think what this particular project allows us to do, because of its scale, it's so big that I think it gives you the opportunity of being able to go out of your house, wander around in an estate that's of a scale that you really feel like you're going back to basics. You can, children can literally, they can almost get lost within the estate, within the safety of the estate. They can walk to go and meet their grandparents in a park. Those are sorts of things that a lot of estates don't have. You don't have that sort of level where you can meet your grandparents in the afternoon, then go and meet your mom at the club for a coffee or whatever in the evening, or later in the afternoon when they're back from work. It's trying to get a bit of that simplicity back into people's lives where they can walk around. There's a sense of place, there's a sense of safety, there's human scale. We're trying to slow the neighborhoods down, with techniques like ensuring that the pedestrians have the rights of way, and more pedestrians on the streets, the more interesting they are. And that's an additional to the green network that we've managed to create, which is, the spine of it is obviously the Central Park, which I guess Bernice will be able to talk about. But it's a place where people can congregate in a natural way, and part of the way we've done that is to also scatter facilities around the estate, to not have one big clubhouse that everyone needs to go to socialize, but lots of small elements scattered around the estate that people by chance bump into other people, and get to explore different areas of the estate. In terms of the architecture, we really want something that doesn't shout. It's something that lets our climate dominate it in terms of its expression. It starts to let the natural, our indigenous climate, the subtropical climate, basically determine what the architecture is. So we don't want something that's loud, just something that responds well to what the climate is.
Yeah. And then Bernice, John chatted about that central green area. How big a component of Salta is the sustainability and preservation of green areas?
Yeah, thanks, Steph. Just elaborating on what John said, I think our starting point has always been the surrounds of the actual whole Salta development. If you look at it, it's actually surrounded almost by conservation holistically. The biggest part being that DMOS section, which runs completely on the eastern edge from north to south and sort of wrapping itself around on the northern boundary. That alone is 34 hectares. And I think it's important to understand scale. That alone is vitality. It's somewhere where we are going to be putting some trails within the buffers. Simple things though, really keeping it low key and using the existing nature. But if you add up that with the wetlands that are environmentally, ecologically sensitive and the protected forest in the north, you almost get to like 56 hectares of sort of no-go zones for the developer. And the only people that will benefit from that are the residents. It's been proven we all need nature around us. People are craving it. I think there's lots and lots of information on it. And I think Salta fortunately has that prescribed ecology, and through rehabilitation, it can only improve itself because it obviously has been farmed and it is mostly under sugarcane, but in time and through the process of careful rehabilitation, it should improve, become more rich in biodiversity, and really just enhance the residents' lives. As John mentioned, we've got that central park, which I think to a large extent will mimic what's happening with the DMOS, which is known as coastal forest. But we will use the topography to sort of create park space that's functional. 4 people to engaging, barefoot running, kicking balls, just engaging with each other in the outdoors.
Okay. And Bernice, just quickly, there's a question here that's come through from Taps Makai, which says, has the plan included green living? And then he said solar at the end. It's obviously just in terms of from a green living perspective.
I think that might be in the architectural code, so maybe John can refer to that.
Yeah, solar is incorporated, has been incorporated in all the houses in Salta Estate, and in terms of the houses in Mount Cotton where people are designing their own, the design review will assess every submission in terms of how it's responding to those elements.
Okay, perfect. And then I know a question's coming through. I know Carl Ace will get to your question in a second when we cover the layout map and so forth, and Grant will get to your question. I mean, Charles, just from a holistic timeline perspective, how are we looking from where we are right now to infrastructure completion?
So, Steph, we've actually closed all the tenders on the infrastructure. Those came back last week. So we're probably in a position to start the rollout of the earthworks probably late May, that sort of timing. So only like 4 months time. And it'll probably take about 14 months to complete. And then you will see particularly loads of homes starting to pop up in the Salta estate. And we are aiming to have, of the 250 homes, we want to try and get it probably about 100 to 150 done by the end of next year, with the balance following 3-4 months thereafter. So shopping center also has to go in and be completed by October next year for trading. And then, yeah, we envisage probably, I would say, in the region of 50 to 70 homes in the Mount Cotton freehold plots being ready by the end of next year, and then multiple going as well. So it's going to happen quite quickly. I think there's going to be a radical change to the landscape, and in terms of closing out what you see as a.
You just muted there, Charles. Charles, you just muted there. There we go. You back? Okay, so Pam, just while Charles is coming back there, how has the response been so far?
Jeff, it has been really refreshing. We've had an overwhelming response. You mentioned it earlier in your opening. We've had about 4,000 people through the sales center. It has been phenomenal. It's confirmed to us that the product offering, the location of Salta, and all the offerings that the developer, the architect, the professional teams put together has really been spot on. So we're really, really excited about the response thus far. It has been overwhelming.
And where are you seeing most of the interest coming from?
It is coming from, people are obviously looking for a lifestyle development, gated security, lifestyle amenities. So the areas are Durban and surrounds, so predominantly KZN, Durban North, Upper Morningside, Musgrave, Hillcrest, Kloof area, Mount Edgecombe. People are definitely looking for, location's been such a key point, and our offerings have been fantastic. So the feedback and the engagement we've had with clients has been phenomenal in terms of what we're delivering to the client. And it's KZN predominantly.
Okay. Charles, I don't know if you just want to just finish off on those timelines from a construction perspective. We just lost you towards the end there. And I've got a couple of questions that have come through from Oliver and Ritesh.
Okay, sorry about that. So we're just saying basically in the next, so the shopping centre has to be completed by October next year. Earthworks will start in about May, June this year. And then from earthworks commencement to the first 100 odd homes at Salta, that'll take about 2 years, with the balance of the homes finishing within sort of 3 to 6 months from there. And then probably by, I would say, the end of next year as well, we're going to see. Sorry, Steph, I keep losing you.
No,
am I back on there? Yeah, so
yeah, got you.
probably within by the end of next year, I would anticipating about 50 to 100 homes either under construction or complete on the Mount Cotton side. So it's going to move quite quickly. From May, within 2 years, there's going to be some significant development, including offices, the shopping centres, as well as Salta and the freehold plots.
Okay, got it. And then Charles, just a couple of questions. Oliver and Ritesh, similar questions. Oliver's asked, will there be direct pedestrian access from the state to the beach without the need to go via road?
Yeah, so what we've done, good questions, because we all know that Mshloti battles with parking. It's beautiful beaches, but parking's a big problem. So what we've actually done is we got a beach gate, which is on the southern side, right by Bellamont Drive, about 200 odd meters from the beach. And we're going to be running continuous shuttle service. So there'll be 2 shuttles that just pick you up and drop you off. So it's every 2 minutes you'll be picked up and dropped off.
Charles, you just muted again there. Yeah, I think we just lost Charles' audio there. Yeah, no, it's fine.
So that's going to run continuously.
Okay, cool, perfect. Charles, we lost you there for a sec, but we'll get it back now shortly. Guys, what I'm going to do is just, and before I bring you in terms of process around launch day and all that kind of stuff, I'm just going to pull up the interactive module. I think there have been quite a few questions that have come around sizes of units, et cetera, et cetera. I know, for example, Anton Cap asked, what is the floor space for respective units excluding the yard areas? And I think it's quite a key component. There are 2 components to Salta. There's Mount Cotton, which is the freehold site, which is quite easy to explain and to understand. And then there's obviously Salta Estate. Within Salta Estate is the plots and plans that Charles was talking about. And I think where COA, to their credit, done an incredible job in terms of creating different configurations that suit different budgets. So just bear with me as I pull this up, and then John, I'm just going to ask you and Charles maybe just talk through it from a bit of a context perspective.
Sure.
You guys can see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool, perfect. Yeah, so guys, I'm just actually going to go down to, I'm going to move my thing around here. It's going to go down to Salta Estate. So I think for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to just mention this is Mount Cotton, which effectively is your freehold site with predominant sea views from pretty much most of the site. That's Capri Village, which is going to be launched probably in the next 3 or 4 months, which is for your active over 50s. And I think the big thing from a Devemco perspective is to create show units experience and to get bricks in the ground, and that will evolve. This is the retail component that Charles was talking about. And I think here is Salta Estate. I'm just going to go into it. Maybe John or Charles, do you guys want to take over just in terms of what your different choices will be on launch day, whether you are someone who is going to be purchasing remotely or whether you are going to be someone who's going to be in the sales office and purchasing with the sales team?
Okay, John, maybe I'll just lead and then just flick into you in terms of some of the design between the split homes and the flat homes. Okay, Steph, so what we're seeing there, what we've done is it's almost like your own little ability to build a home. So you've got multiple plots, the bulk of which have sea views. So if you just clicked on a typical plot, as an example, what will happen is it'll come up, show you the size, give you a price. You can then click on it, have a look at the view. It'll give you a very active, very sort of relevant view of that point of where the site is. The way they're designed is that all of the views are maintained because the houses terrace down the natural slope. So you'll then go on to, let's say you wanted a 4-bedroom unit as an example, or a 3-bedroom, whatever. You click on that, it pops up with a 4-bedroom unit that will fit on that site. You can then have a look at the layout, the square meters, and automatically it's populating a number, as you can see, almost like a shopping list number. So that's, at the moment, it's 4190 for a 4-bed. And then the next step, so once you're happy with that first step.
Sorry, Charles, if I can just interrupt there. I think what's quite important when you're looking at the site is to note there's something there that I think it's called, we refer to it as a plot grading, if I'm not mistaken. And that refers to the width of the plot. So what we've done is you know, to keep a decent range of price points within this estate, they're plots that are different sizes, obviously, and we've done different designs that relate to different widths of sites. So the sites are graded in terms of their width. So if you select a site that has a wider grading, in other words, I think there'd be a 15 meter site, you would have a larger selection of unit types that would fit on that. If you selected a site that has, for example, a 13 meter grading, you'd have slightly less options in terms of the units that fit on it. So it's important to sort of just take note of that when looking at the sites, when you're selecting them and playing with them.
Yeah, and that's interesting, John, because I mean, we've had a lot of guys that have been coming in through the tent and, you know, just saying, look, we don't necessarily need a large unit, but we'd like a bit more space. So, I mean, that's a very relevant sort of just comment in that you can take a large plot and still put a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house on. You don't have to obviously maximize, you know, the home types are not specifically for each site. You can get to choose what you want.
Yeah, so effectively, the 15 meter wide sites, you'll be able to fit any unit on that's a single story or a double story in terms of how that's related to the site. Yeah,
John, while you're at it, do you want to just talk, you know, if we just analyze a street before we go into the plot the home details, just analyze a street and just show the difference between a flat home and maybe a split home.
Okay, just that if you want to just go to the site plan, yeah. So I think the context of it is I think if you just go back to the site plan, might be easier.
Yeah, sure.
So the principle is obviously the site slopes from the top of your image down to the bottom, and what we've managed to do is to balance it out in a way that's where each road is, the sites on the lower side of the road of this will be a pretty flat site. So that site's going to be flat, and it'll be more or less the level of the road. The site on the upper side of the road is going to be a split level site. So the sites along the top of the higher part of the road will have, basically they'll have a garage unit beneath. Some of the bigger units will have a garage unit with the option of a guest suite with that garage unit, and then your main house will be above that garage. So you'll go up by 3 meters, which then allows those sites on the upper side of the road to have views over the sites on the lower side. So we've balanced that in terms of how the section works. So each site on the upper side will always be a split level home in terms of having a garage beneath at road level and your living space and bedrooms above that. The sites on the lower side will have a flat house, so their house will be on grade with the road.
Yeah, and then John, if you just talk to, so if we just take, you know, while we still at this, the flat sites on the lower part of the road, just talk to how that works with the next row below that.
And between that and the row below, there's always an 8 meter green zone, which I think it's a minimum of 8 meters. Some places it's wider, but that 8 meters works out that we're able to bank between those sites. So that flat site will always be 3.5 to 4.5 meters higher than the upper floor of the sort of split level below it. So that bank, I think there are 2 advantages of the bank. Obviously, the one is that you get to see over the unit. You'll always get to see over the unit in front. The other advantage is that we've given it enough space to not have to use retaining. So we're not going to see a whole lot of Loffelstein walls between these units. We're rather going to see planted banks, which I think is quite a big advantage to the way the scheme will look at the end. You know, I spoke earlier about trying to let the nature come through a little bit, and in terms of how the architecture is being done, we're trying to keep the architecture low key as possible in terms of bringing the roofs low roof pitches, so that quite soon, hopefully, the tree tops will overtake the edges of the roofs, and you won't read that harsh line of buildings, but you'll start to read the foliage rather. And that's I think those green elements of banks will help us with that as well.
Cool, thanks, John. So maybe Steph, let's just carry on through. So if we click on a plot and run through the module.
John, I just want to ask you quickly if you can maybe just quickly touch on the different unit types, just so guys understand when they're talking about unit type A, B, C, or D.
Okay, if you want to just look through them quickly. They're basically if you look at
so I'm just going to
so
go
for example, with type A, this is we've got, okay, there's a good example. We can see a type A next to a type B. I think that the principle is that the type A is more of a linear layout, where particularly where your kitchen, lounge and dining run from top to bottom of the site. It gives you more options in terms of your sites. So that would generally fit on a narrower site. Your unit type B, that works, it's almost more of a T shape, and you'll see as that unit gets bigger options, it'll become more of a T shape, where your kitchen, dining, lounge comes off the side of the bedrooms, perpendicular to them. It uses up a wider site, but what it does give you is it gives you the advantage of having a back garden and a front garden, as well as having that space lit and open on both sides. It helps you with ventilation and obviously lights in that space, and gives you more garden space, but obviously it's limited in terms of the sites that it can fit on, because it needs a slightly wider site. These two that you're looking on are obviously units that would work on a flat site. So you'll see the garages at the top of the site. So your road would come in these examples. Your road would be at the top of those units. You would enter level into the garage, walk level onto your house. That garden would be level, and then if you see the dotted line at the bottom, that's where the bank would start falling down, which then puts the unit in front of you at a lower level.
Okay, great.
And then similar, so the unit designs are fairly similar in terms of top and bottom units, but you'll see if you get to a split level unit, you'll see that what happens is the garage just pretty much just moves to underneath the house. So if you look there at either of those type A's, if you look at the one on the left, you got a double garage as well as an option for a guest suite within that space that fits beneath the house, and then you go up the stairs on the side and into the house, which is then basically puts you above the level of the house in front. So this is what we would refer to as a split level house. One of the advantages of it is obviously because your garage is beneath the house, you end up with a little bit more garden space.
Okay,
Yeah, John, also, I mean, with that garden on that particular module being tucked underneath, in terms of, obviously we'll get into optional extras, but it allows you a lot more flexibility in terms of usage, whether it be staff facilities. I see one of the questions came up, are there potential domestic staff facilities on site? So that allows you a staff facility or a study or a workspace or a guest suite or just a large store, or even an additional bay, covered parking bay. So you're getting a triple garage. There's multiple options with that type of split level design.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go through the process. I just want to show people that on the day, for example, leading up to it, you can search by 3-bed 2-bath, for example, a 3-bed 3-bed 3-bath, and obviously all the configurations are changing depending on what you're looking. Or you can go by price in terms of what's available within certain price ranges. You can see a huge amount within those lower price ranges. So just going to go with this selection here, and then just going to choose a random plot, and Charles, you can just talk about it from there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So once you have clicked on your plot and you obviously happy with the plot and the view and the location and the size, obviously, as taking into John's comments, with whether it be a 15-meter wide module or a 13-meter wide plot, and then Steph, let's click on that one. Is that you've got a 3-bed 2-bath, so that's your preferred option, and you then move on to basically 2 color schemes: a coastal scheme, which is a nice white beachy sort of design scheme, and then the other one, which is the forest scheme, a little bit more modern, contemporary, a little bit more grays and a little slightly darker and off-white finished cupboards, counters, etc. So let's say we chose that. You move on to the next page, and then what this allows you, this is actually a really cool little sort of sheet where you can actually start clicking on all these optional extras. So you can click on an additional separate room, fully en suite. You can click on an additional another room, like an office spare room, which is a smaller room. So there's 2 options there, B and C. You can click on a pool as an example. You can click on that one that Steph's just clicked on, substituting the main bathroom shower into a bath. Let's say you've got young kids and you need the bath. And then you can slide down to the bottom, assuming that those are your options, and you've got literally a checkout price on that home. So just to give, you then would fill in those details, and it basically pre-populates your sale agreement, which is super easy. And on the day, in the site tent, this will all be done obviously on Saturday morning and Sunday. This will all be done on a tablet, and it just allows people to really either work back from let's call it a price point, or work up from a site, or work from a home design and then choose the site. So many people look at it different ways. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility to look at it any way you want. So you can go location, you can go home, or you can go from price backwards. I think, Steph, what's also important, if we can jump back onto that module, I just wanted to run through a typical example of why I'm so excited about Salta, in terms of, very rarely you get a product that you can live in. So if we just go into that module again.
Yeah, sure. Salta Estates.
Yeah, Salta Estates. Cool. Let's just click on one of the let's just click on one of those light green plots as an example.
These ones here. These ones here.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, that's cool. So you click on that, and let's just say we want to go for the 3-bed 2-bath. This is just obviously one of the entry-level units. Click on one of, let's say, a D2 as an example, or D1 or whatever. So, there you're basically getting a double garage. We don't need to run through the whole process, but you just look at that. You're getting a double garage. Can we zoom in on that unit type there? Is that possible? So there you're getting a 3-bed 2-bath. I think the double garage or the single garage are very similar in price, but for roughly 3.3 million rand, a freehold, freestanding double garage, 3-bed 2-bath, lounge, dining, kitchen, covered patio with garden, with sea views in an estate. It allows a buyer to, one, live there. It's an amazing value, and two, you could actually buy as an investment to live at a later stage. So very rarely do you get something that's going to yield well on an investment and tick the box as a primary residential unit. Often your primary residentials are not great investments. It's a very unique product that allows both. And I think that coming in at that 3.3 million in the Sibaya area, it's almost equitable to like a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom flat or apartment. That's currently that's sort of what the market price is for a 2-bedroom apartment. So really good value, and I'm super excited that we're allowing some young families as well as investors, or older families, older guys that want to actually scale down and potentially move into a unit like that in the next couple of years, but also obtain the income that could be generated whilst they obviously pondering their move. So that to me is one of the biggest selling points of Salta, is that it's great for long-term living as well as investment.
Perfect. And I know that link will be shared, and really encourage anyone who is interested in purchasing to spend some time with that module. Obviously, come 8 a.m. on Saturday morning on the 13th, that will then go live and become an online shop where all availability on the day will be controlled. So anyone who's purchasing from anywhere in the country or internationally has ability, equal opportunity, whether they are in the sales office or whether they are remotely, with availability being controlled and by payments being done via an EFT into the attorney's trust accounts. I know there are quite a lot of questions that have come through here, so I'm just going to try and catch up a bit. So just, I think, Charles, quite a few directed to you here. I think Mervyn Chetty, when will we be able to start building on vacant land purchased?
So we're anticipating transfer of the vacant land, best case by the end of the year, probable end of financial year, so February, round about there. So within about 10, 11 months, the land will transfer, and then you can start building. If you want to start running all your plans and approvals, simultaneously with that process, you can literally get transfer and start straight away. Okay, so 100%. Call it within a year.
And I guess Jacques Kotze, John's favorite question: are we able to do a general forest feel and a coastal kitchen where you can combine the two? I see the answer is no, so I'm just going to answer on your behalf.
Yeah, unfortunately not on the scheme.
100%. And then I
did there's not a massive difference between the two schemes. You know, it's really fairly subtle, and they have been designed to work with each other. So in other words, you know, the kitchen and the forest scheme has been thought out in terms of it relates to the rest of.
Okay, and then sorry, Ant, I am going to come to you because you're probably the most important person here. But I think this is a very good question from Shanae Singh, and it says, I have a concern. Mount Cotton, their double-story plots in front. How will you limit the double-story plots, not limiting the views of single-story plots?
I think that we have restricted them in terms of their height. So what we do know is the design levels of the roads. So we're restricting all the units, all the plots in relation to the level of the road. So those sites which have been earmarked as being double stories or zoned as double stories on our plan are limited in their height. And we've selected those sites to allow double stories on purely because we know the site above them, if they're restricted to their height, we'll be able to see over them.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So in layman's terms there, Steph, so a double story, as Johnny's mentioning, so it's like say 7 meters from road is your apex of roof. Where you see a double story in front of a single story, it means that the drop between the two roads, i.e. the flat plot and the double story plot, is more than 7 meters.
100%. And I think that answers quite a few questions here. I know Jitesh has asked insulters that understand the sea views will be maintained due to the natural slope of the land. And I suppose that is the benefit of coastal developing, hey?
Yeah.
Perfect. And then I think Charles, I mean, a question that's come through from Cole Ace earlier, just in terms of reservations, are there units that have been reserved prior to the launch on the 13th?
Yeah, so we've had to actually almost fight off guys wanting to buy excessively, because a lot of guys have come in, actually paid their preemptive deposits already, and you know, they've given us a list of up to 10 or 15 options ranging from, let's call it rank 1 right down to rank 10 or 15, and those are the plots they're going for, and they're going to be there on Saturday morning bright and early, whether it be on the laptop or whatever, on the module or in person. The guys have done most of the admin already. The preemptive stuff's done and signed, so they literally are just going to click on, and I'll be accepting first come first serve on first thing Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. So I think it's going to be a bit of a bun fight, to be honest, because you know, speaking to Pam and yourself, we've got over 4,000 registrations. We've got about 100 deposits, I think, already for guys wanting sites in advance, paperwork done. So yeah, it's going to be quite hectic. The first hour is going to be quite hectic, but there are still plenty stands and plot and plan available. I mean, I think there's 250 in total. So it really is, yeah, there's some ranging from the low to the mid, right up to the upper, the best sites with views. There's a mass amount of stuff still available. However, I think it's going to go quite quickly.
100%.
Steph,
yeah, sure, Ben.
I just want to jump in on Charles's point. I think it's important, you know, for everybody listening to, we encourage you to come to site. We've got development specialists that are there to help you, talk you through the product, tour you, get you ready for Saturday if you want to, you know, obviously buy on Saturday. But it's important to come and educate yourself a bit, because it just makes your decision so much more comfortable. And the sales center opens as early as 7, and I know a lot of the team is there till 7:30 at night. So we'll accommodate you outside business hours as well, and we encourage you to do that, because it makes your decisions so much more easier when you're well informed and you've got a specialist on site that's got enough time now, between now and Saturday, to help you to make that choice.
And then Pam, how do you see the launch day mapping out in terms of process?
So it's we'll open sales at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's on a first come first serve basis. Exactly what Charles touched on now. We've already got guys that have come in, signed preemptives, put down deposits, have done selections of up to 10 selections per client. So already we are subscribed. So we encourage people to be there bright and early if they can. And it's going to be on a first come, first served basis.
Perfect. And then, I mean, obviously you guys have done this many times over in terms of your journey with the VEMCO over the years. From a legal perspective, how does it work? How do you go about purchasing units?
Okay, well, thanks, Steph. And I know that we are time sensitive at the moment. So I'll just like to start up by saying, first off, that I have a dedicated team of professionals and conveyancing paralegals that will be on site both Saturday and Sunday to help and to give guidance and assistance to potential purchasers, to answer any queries and things of that nature. So we will be there. If the guys come down, we'll be able to assist them with whatever legal stuff that it needs to be done. As far as the process is concerned, it's pretty simple. Due to the expected high sale volumes and the interest in this development, which Charles has alluded to, for a purchaser to secure a site, there's two things that are going to have to happen. First of all, they're going to have to pay what's called a consideration fee of 50,000 Rand, and they're going to have to sign a preemption agreement. So basically, they're going to have to do that on site and do it as soon as possible. As Pam has said, there's a lot of interest here. So the quicker they do that and get that done, it's locked and loaded onto the system, and then it's done. I just want to point out that the 50,000 Rand that gets paid into my trust account, and it does go towards the deposit that the purchaser will ultimately have to pay. So it forms part of the deposit. After the launch, so that's as far as the launch is concerned. After the launch, what will have happen then is that the purchaser will pay the balance of the 10% deposit and will sign a sale agreement. And then from there, we just manage the process. We've done it so many times before. We actually manage the transfer process. We assist the clients with the financing, the vetting of sales, the collecting of FICA, the drafting of documents. And as I said, we've done it before, so we just need to manage it with the clients and all the parties at the same time. So, and Charles has told you the expectations as far as transfer is concerned for both the land portion as well as the sectional title units. So in a brief nutshell, that's the process, but the important stuff is what happens on the weekend at launch day, and we need to manage that process. Yeah. That's it.
Thanks, Ed.
Sorry, Ash, sorry, and there was just two questions that popped up whilst we were talking relevant to you.
Yeah.
One was, obviously, isn't the deposit 100,000? So we have changed that to 50,000 on the day, just so we can speed up the processing, because a lot of the credit cards aren't actually able to go over the 50,000 payment limits. So that's the one thing. And the other question was, do we need bond approvals on the day? And the answer to that, and do you want to just run through that?
Yeah, so no bond approvals on the day. What we'll do once the preemption and that deposit is paid, as I said, in terms of the preemption agreement, there's a time period stipulated in there by which time the purchaser will have to obtain bond finance. But once the agreement is signed, that's when all the other conditions kick into play. So there'll be a suspensive condition that a bond will have to be approved within a certain period of time. So no, you won't have to have bond finance approval on launch day. All you'll need to do is pay your 50,000 Rand preemption deposit, and you'll need to sign that agreement, and that's it.
Thanks, Ed. Charles, I mean, I know we haven't chatted about Capri Village much, but there is a question from Dennis and Beverly Naka, which says, what is the timeline for the over 50s? And what's the salient difference between Salta and Capri Village?
Okay, so Capri Village is it's an over 50s active lifestyle village. So it's not a retirement village. It's an active over 50s. It's a beautiful little product that's going to launch in about 3 months. It's about 300 opportunities there. Once again, all freestanding, pet friendly, a range of very similar to Salta in terms of a range of various options, slightly smaller, A lot of 2-bed and smaller 3-bed, not so much your big 4 beds and even 5 beds like Salta. Very, very well priced. Going to come in under 2 million starting from, and the bulk of it will sit between 2 and 3 million. Whereas your Salta generally sits from 3 to 4 million as a bulk. So it is a slightly smaller product and a slightly smaller stand. Don't have sea views that are west facing, so you've got lovely sunset views, but very, very well priced, and obviously the amenities in that are more suited for your over 50. So there will be, little pubs and little snooker rooms and card rooms and some obviously normal activities, which is lifestyle activities in the park because it straddles the park. But it'll also be things like hydrotherapy pools and indoor heated pools, etc., for slightly older residents. So it's going to be a really, really nice product that will launch. I think we're going to launch 120, which will be the first phase in about 3-4 months' time.
I think that one of the differences, just to make a point, is that also they will be designed level. So all those sites are level. There's no units with stairs in them.
Yeah. And John, also just on that, there are on that specific modulation option, there's another option which is for your disabled accessibility as an option. So you can have an accessibility package put onto for instance the bathrooms, grab rails, etc., etc.
Okay. I know there have been a couple of questions about how do you get access to that module. I know it's been posted on the chat. It is saltasibaya.co.za/sales, so please go through it. I know, Pam, a couple of questions around what people need to do if they want to engage with you and your team prior to launch.
So, Steph, I'm sure on this, at the end of this webinar, you're going to share our contact details, contact phone number and our email address, and our marketing team will gladly get in touch with them. They can stop by, as they wish, or make an appointment. So we definitely know somebody's available to see them. It's as easy as that, and we open 7 days a week. I know the team's working flat out. They've got tons of appointments each. The guys are really trying to prep their clients before Saturday. So yeah, we're ready for you, and the sales center is open, and the team will wait there as late as 8 o'clock even to meet somebody that they need to, talk through the project and how the process works.
I just wanted to also just add that if, for instance, that you are really excited and want to get to site on Saturday, but you can't manage to get there, do peruse the interactive module, because I mean, a lot of the homework's done, and probably 90% of the decisions can be made from that module. And then literally it's getting to sites, meeting with one of the project managers or the sales agents, going to actually drive out, have a look at the sites, make your pick. If you've chosen your home and you know what you want, you're literally just choosing the site location. It just speeds that whole process up. So, there's a preemptive form, you can fill it all out. You can do your 50K EFT to Anthony Watmore in advance. You can do all the admin. So, because there will be a flurry. So if you can eliminate a lot of that stuff before the Saturday morning and you can't get to sites, it certainly will be worth it.
And Nasli, I guess that comes to your point too. Yes, you do have to be there, but you could be there remotely with the module and do your purchase that way, or get to sales office. But I think like Pam said, is if you're going to sales office, try and get there early on Saturday. And like we said, first come, first serve.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're going to start wrapping up. I think maybe Pam, I want to try and put you on the spot first. What are you expecting from where you're going to be at the end of the weekend?
I think, we've had 4,000 people through the sales center. So response has been phenomenal. We're expecting, and I know Charles is going to smile at this, we're expecting to do $1 billion in sales. The interest has been overwhelming. So I'm quite confident to say we should by the end of the weekend hit $1 billion in sales.
And Pam, just quickly, just recap on those entry-level prices. What's the entry-level price on Mount Cotton, and for entry-level package on Salta Estates?
Mount Cotton land starts from 1,450, and we've got various ranges, and we've got to take you through that. Salta Estate, you're looking at 2,995 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
Okay, perfect. Charles, your prediction?
Sure. Yeah, I think we'll do $1 billion. Probably within sort of, I'd say by Monday, once we've obviously done all the admin from the weekend. And I think we'll probably do another 200 million thereafter in the next week or two. So I'm predicting sort of 1.2 billion by the end of the month.
Steph, can I just jump in there as well?
Of course, Ed.
Just say from an attorney's perspective and from our law firm, the amount of people that have been contacting our offices with regard to this development is phenomenal. It's unprecedented. And people, even paying funds into our trust account, we don't even know who they are, and we're trying to work all that out. So it's quite incredible. So I would, really suggest that the guys get there early, as Pam said, on Saturday, so that we can try and get this done. But so that's my prediction. It's going to be phenomenal, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think Steph, I mean, what I've been saying to pretty much everyone I see on site is, after this, if you miss this opportunity and you want to live in a residential estate, you're going to be living in Ballito. There's nothing further north that provides an opportunity, and we're continually looking. So it's basically La Mercy, Westbrooks, and Bali. It's all done. So if you fail to get into this estate, your next stop is Ballito, and that's the bottom line.
Just to wrap up, I think we posted the website address for those of you who haven't seen it on the chat, as well as a contact number for Pam and her team if you want to email them or phone them. And I know there's been questions about the recording, so everyone who's been part of this or anyone who registered will receive a recording of this tomorrow. There'll also be the 2-day and 1-day reminders leading up to the launch, and we'll also be posting copies on social media, so you can feel free to pass it on to friends or family or anyone who hasn't had a chance to view it. But again, get to a sales office if you can before Saturday and experience and engage with the team directly. But like Charles said, there's so much of that module that we haven't shown you already in terms of visuals and renders and perspectives that will keep you busy. But I think we're going to wrap it up. I'd just like to thank everyone for attending. We had a really great turnout. It's also always amazing to see that. And I think the panel members really appreciate your input. And we look forward to the weekend.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.